Alright guys, we're back again this week and we are checking out a B2 Audio Rage 3200 watt monoblock amplifier. Usually I don't like to do two of the same brand products back to back, week to week, but I had this thing staring at my face. Jeff sent it to me and I'm just so curious of what these things do because B2 is kind of making its way back into the United States. So this is a 3200 watt monoblock. The bass remote is pretty nice. You have a voltage, power, and clip indicator on it, which is pretty cool. Has the B2 logo on the back. It is plastic, but it's almost made to look almost like aluminum. Nice glossy finish on the front. So pretty cool bass knob. The amp has the distinctive white aluminum B2 audio style with the logo, black plastic end caps with venting, and on the right side we actually have a cooling fan. So I'm not sure if that's always on or active. We'll check that out later when we get it hooked up, but there's also more venting on the side here, which is nice. Like the 4-channel I did, all the inputs are on the front. So you have power, protect, clip indicator. You have your gain, high pass, low pass. You have 2 RCA inputs, remote out, and you have huge 4-gauge speaker outputs. But then you have not so huge 4-gauge power inputs. So I'm assuming they want you to use 1/0 to 4-gauge reducers, which some companies still do that. So nice looking amp, feels really heavy, does not feel cheap and light at all. So that tells me too that that aluminum heatsink is pretty thick, which is always good for heat dissipation. So now this is rated at 3200 watts at 1 ohm, 2000 watts at 2 ohm, and 1000 watts at 4 ohm. So we'll get it hooked up and see what this thing actually puts out. And I did find out, so B2 Audio is a Danish company, but the amps are made in China. At least this Rage series amps and the 4-channel I did last week, because there wasn't anything in the documentation, so I wasn't really sure, so I didn't want to say anything. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and get this bad boy hooked up and see what it puts out. Alright guys, and we got it hooked up. I just wanted to show you real quick the bass knob. So it does show voltage, and the voltage is accurate, which is nice. And then your power and clip LED. Alright, let's get started. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started with the certified test at 4 ohms. So we're looking for 1000 watts. And we got it, 1055 watts at 4 ohms, this is certified up to 1% THD. So it already hit the numbers, so that's a good sign. Drew 113.6 amps. I'll put the efficiencies all at the end. All right, let's go ahead and do uncertified, up to clipping. So far it hit the numbers, so see if it does any more uncertified. And yes, it did more. 1178 at 4 ohm uncertified. Alright, let's go ahead and do the 2 ohm test. So far so good, guys. Alright, so 2 ohm test. Specs say 2000 watts This first test is certified and it stops at 1% THD. Not quite there. 1,817 watts. Certified up to 1% THD. So that's pretty close. I'm sure it'll hit the numbers uncertified. So let's go ahead and do that test. We were pretty close already, so I'm sure it can do it, but we will find out. And yes, it did it.
Oh yeah.
2139. Uncertified up to clipping at 2 ohms. So it hits his numbers. Uncertified, very good. And we'll do dynamic tests, but this time I'm gonna wait till the end. So let's go ahead and get to that 1 ohm test, guys. All right, here we go, certified 1 ohm. Can it hit 3,000 watts? And it did not quite do it. 2668 certified. Let's go ahead and try uncertified. It's pretty close, so maybe it'll hit it uncertified. All right, here we go. Come on, 3,000 watts. And it did it. 3,335 watts, uncertified up to clipping at 1 ohm. And we drew 355.8 amps. And I'll put a chart with all the results and the efficiencies up at the end. So, hey, that's very good. It hit the numbers uncertified. So, let's go ahead and run through the dynamic test. So, like 4-channel amps, I think certified is more important because you're not going to be running your full ranges up to clipping. You want clean power on your full ranges. Subs, you don't really hear distortion. The frequency range isn't really there. So uncertified and dynamic, depending on the music you listen to, are the numbers, in my opinion, to go by. So very good. All right, let's run some dynamic tests, guys. Dynamic burst, 4 ohms. All right, 1,232 watts dynamically. And we drew 128.5 amps on the inrush. And we got 2,304 watts at 2 ohm dynamically. So let's see what happens at 1 ohm. I believe it did over 3,300 uncertified. So let's see what happens here. So man, yeah, definitely more. 3,626 watts. 460.5 amps burst. So very good, man. This amp did great. It did not blow, didn't go into protect. And that's important, guys, because when you dyno amps, let's face it, some of them go into protect a few times. I've had quite a few just pop on the 1 ohm tests. So for an amp to go through a dyno, full dyno cycle, that says a lot, especially without going into protect, without doing anything wonky. So pretty solid amps. Okay, let me try to get the back off this thing and we'll see what's inside. All right, so I got the back off this thing, and it's definitely a full bridge, which I kind of knew before, but so in the back here we got 3,300 microfarad 100 volt 105 degree caps, and over here they're also 3300 microfarad but 25 volt 105 degrees Celsius caps. So very slim full bridge, man. There's not a lot inside these things, but they put out big power for sure. So there's the guts of it. And the fan is on all the time, or at least it was for me. So wasn't the loudest, wasn't the quietest, decent fan. So build quality looks good. You can see where the weight comes from. See how thick the aluminum is right here. This is about probably 3/4 of an inch, and this goes down to about 3/8 of an inch. So good heatsink material, and that's where it gets that weight from that I felt before I took it apart when I was just picking it up. So, alright guys, let's get to the final conclusion and the results on this amplifier. Alright, so here's the final results. Uncertified, it hit all the numbers, actually did more. Certified hit some of the numbers, was pretty close on others, but overall very good results. The efficiency is average on this, not bad, not stellar, so pretty solid. Alright guys, so this amp did really well. It missed, I think, one number certified, but it did overrated on all the other numbers, so really cool. Never skipped a beat on the dyno, never went into protect, not even once, and it didn't blow, so they got a good full bridge design right here that is reliable, so that's a good thing. The bass knob's really cool. The power protect indicator and the voltmeter is very handy. The amp looks great. The only thing I wish they did put 1/0 inputs, but it might have been to size restrictions maybe on the board or the internals, because there's a lot of other companies that do that. So if you buy this, get some 1/0 to 4 gauge reducers. Amp did really good, man. This is the second B2 amp I've done, and they do what they say rated power wise pretty much, and they're really good amps, man. Now these aren't designed or made to just be like cheap, you know, budget brand. These are meant to be high quality, middle of the road price range. They're not super expensive like Kicker and JL and some of the other brands, but their quality is very good. The price range is kind of right in the middle, so that's what they focus on. So this amp did great. Thanks Big Jeff for sending me this in to test. I was really curious about these. I had asked if he wanted to send me some B2 stuff to test, so that's really cool. So I'm digging it so far, man. I can't wait to try some subs. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check this amplifier out. You can get it from bigjeffaudio.com. I have a B2 audio coupon code that gives you more of a discount than my regular HiFi Vector code. It's B2 Vector. So I'll put that in the description below. Save yourself a little more money if you buy any of these from Big Jeff Audio. And thank you guys so much for watching. It really means a lot. And if you guys could like and subscribe, it'd be appreciated. And have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll catch you on the next one.